Hi, this is Bethany with My Way Crochet, and we are going to make an rotten tomato today. These kits are available at my market and in my Etsy shop, and it comes with your yarn, your crochet hook, your polyfill, the pattern, and a stitch marker. So go ahead and grab that, and you'll be ready to follow this video and make your own rotten tomato. To begin our rotten tomato, we're going to take the red yarn that was included in the crochet kit if you bought my rotten tomato crochet kit. If you didn't buy the crochet kit, just use whatever yarn that you have. Take the yarn tail, and we're going to start with a magic ring. So for this, 2 fingers, right here's the working end of my yarn, and the tail is in my right hand. We're going to wrap it around 1, 2, 3. Hold it with your ring finger. Take your hook. Again, this hook is included in the crochet kit. Take it under 2, over the last one, bring it up, and then just pull that yarn that's below through. And this holds the magic ring together. Now, if you watched my other videos on crochet basics, remember to keep the magic ring on your fingers until you have crocheted a couple of single crochets in here just to hold it. Our round 1 of the tomato is to put 6 single chains in this magic ring. So we're going to go under 2, hook it, over 2, pull it through. That's a single crochet. So that's 1, under 2, hook it, over, pull it through, 2, 3, oh, getting a little too tight there, 4, 5, and 6. If this is moving too fast for you, feel free to slow down, pause it, or go back and review my magic circle, magic ring video. Subscribe to my channel for all your crochet basics. Pull your bottom loop, pull your tail. So now we have a magic ring, right? And if we count from where we started, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Our next move in this tomato body is to increase in each stitch around. So starting here, which is our first stitch, we're going to put our hook under both, under both loops. Get that tail out of the way. Under both, we're going to hook, pull, and then again pull through 2. And this is our first chain of the next round, of round 2, where we're going to put 2 single crochets in each space. So you'll take your stitch marker that's included in your packet, in your crochet kit, and mark that first stitch, 2, so they won't fall out of your project while you're crocheting around. Okay, now we need to put 1 more crochet in that same loop because we're increasing in each stitch around. That means 2 single crochets in each of the braided pieces around. So here's our next stitch. We'll go under, there, grab our yarn, pull it through. Same stitch, under, grab, over, grab. So we've done 4 so far. 1, 2, 3, 4. We need to continue on because we're going to do this all the way around. Again for 2. This is our next stitch. We got to put 2 in here. Two in this one, and 2 in the last one. We know this is our last one because our stitch marker is right here. You could always go back and count, but our stitch marker marks our first stitch. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And in a pattern, you'll see a number in parentheses after each round, and that's the number of stitches that you should have. So we just finished round 2. We'll take our stitch marker out, and we need to start round 3. Round 3 for this pattern involves a single chain and then an increase to get us to 18 stitches. So in our first loop right here, we'll go under 2, and we're only going to put 1 single chain here. Over, pull through. Again, in my previous videos, this is slowed down quite a bit. This is our first stitch, so in goes the stitch marker. Okay, and now in our next stitch, we need to increase because the pattern is a single chain increase. So increase means 2. We put 2 stitches in here. 1, 2. And in the next one, we're going to repeat that pattern. So we have a 1 single crochet, 1, and then the next one will increase. 1, 2. And this is pretty standard for amigurumi patterns, just to build your base and to get your project as wide or as round as you need it to be. So we continue in this way, increasing in this one. And then the next one will be 1, an increase here, 1, and again going right back into that same stitch for a second time. Okay, we have to do this 2 more times. We have 4 stitches left to work. 1 single crochet, an increase for 2. Last time, single crochet, and an increase for 2. I think one of the most difficult things for beginning crochet is how do you hold your hands? How do you hold so many things at one time? This hand usually holds the hook and then pulls along as we crochet, where this hand is holding the yarn however you're comfortable holding it, and then I'm pinching the project front and back. As the project gets bigger, this is easier to do, but you start so small it's kind of difficult to hold your yarn and your project at the same time. Now we're on to round 4. Round 4, we're making it a little bit bigger again. This is a single chain in the next 2 stitches and then an increase. So this will repeat across 3 stitches at a time. So in the first stitch under 2, we're going to put 1 single crochet here. Grab it, pull through. This is our first stitch. In goes the stitch marker. Yep, I'm getting better at that. We got to do 1 more single crochet here. Very good. And then in this one we'll increase. So 2 single crochet stitches will go in this one. Next 2 stitches we only put 1. 1, 1, increase, put 2 in this one. Our circle is getting bigger. It's almost looking like a tomato now. I'm just kidding. It's not even close. And that's probably another frustrating thing about crochet is there's really no fast way to do it. It's a handmade item. It takes time. If you're selling your items, I do recommend paying yourself for your time and not just paying yourself back for the supplies that you use. Again, 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 2 in this one because we increase. We have to do this 1 more time. And after this round, we'll have 24 stitches. 1, 2, and our increase here. Let's count from the stitch marker. 1, 2, and we're counting the braided pieces. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and the one on the hook is 24. Our next round, for round 5, following this pattern, now we're going to go 3 stitches with only 1 single crochet in it and a double or an increase crochet on the last one. So here's our first stitch. Put that stitch marker back in there. Living on the edge, I'm not closing it this time. It's up to you if you want to live as wildly as I do. Increase here. Single chain 1, single chain 2, single crochet 3, increase. And again, we're going to put 1 in the next one, 1 in the third one, increase. We're building our project up. 1, 1, 3, increase. Two more times. And again, through 2. Sometimes I'll grab it this way as well. Your stitches might look slightly different, but you might be the only one who can tell that. Whatever way's easiest for your hands at this point in time as a beginner is the best. And you can figure out different stitches and different ways to pull your yarn later. Right now, let's make something cute and worry about keeping the same tension throughout, so our stitches are even and tight. Last time. 1, 2, 3, and an increase here. It means we're putting 2 in there. Okay, round 6. Let's do it. This is going to be our last increasing round. So this next round, round 6, will take us to 36 stitches, and we're going to do 4 stitches with just a single crochet in it and increasing in the last one. And you'll notice that our project is taking on kind of a pointed hexagon type shape, septagon, however many times you've got around. There are ways to avoid these points, but honestly, when we get to round 7 through 12 of this pattern, it will not be pointy anymore and it'll start to round off. Let's begin our last increasing round. So, our first stitch, put your stitch marker in, and we're going to do this 3 more times. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're kind of to that point on our project, and that's where our next increase goes. So if you get used to seeing this and you've lost track of where you're at, you can count back stitches, or you can kind of think, oh, I'm at the point, I should be increasing. 4 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and our increase. 1, and into that same stitch again, 2. Around we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Increasing here. 1, 2. Starting to curl upward now. And in rounds 7 through 12, we'll really see it start to curve upward into a bowl type shape. 1, 2, 3, 4. Increase. It's in these moments you just need to think how cute your tomato will be when you're done. 1, 2, 3, 4. Increase. 1. And back in that same stitch. Again. Last time for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And our increase. 1 and 2. There you go. You've completed the increasing rounds. Moving on to round 17. Moving on to round 7 through 12. We're just going around 6 times. We're going to use our stitch marker for this so that we can continually give 36 stitches around. And this is what's really going to form our tomato shape. So I'll show you the first round, and then I will give you time to do this on your own and show you my progress as well. So around, we're just putting 1 single crochet in each stitch around, and that's our first one. So in goes the stitch marker. 1. And we're going to have 36 of these guys. We're done increasing. No more. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. Now, if you're getting confused as to where your next stitch is, if you pull up on the stitch that you just did and it creates a little hole, that's the one you just worked. Move to the next one. There's a little block here where it shows a definition between the stitches. So you need to move to the next 2 loops. There aren't any loops here to put your next stitch in. So we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I always like to count on the first round just to make sure that I'm set up for the next 5 rounds as well. I don't want to be off a stitch or 2, then have to go back and do it all again after I've already crocheted 6 rounds. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 10 more. You can do it. 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 2 more, 35, and the last one right here, 36. Okay, so we have the right amount of stitches around. Now we are going to continue this 5 more times. So if you want to keep a tally sheet to know how many rounds you've gone, Another way is if you look on your corner, you can see where you've put a double here and there's a row above it. And I'll show you here in a minute when I have a few more rows on here how to count back. But go ahead and continue and I will check in with progress. Okay. I've completed 3 rounds where we're just single crocheting in each stitch around. So I just completed round 9. And you can see this is my last increasing round here where I've put 2 stitches, 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So I can count up from this row and know that I've done 1, 2, 3, and that's my next round here. So now we need to continue with this method 3 more times all the way around, and that'll give us our 6, which will end us on round 12. All right, I've just finished round 12, which is the end of our 6 times around. If we go all the way back down here, I can see a double crochet or an increased crochet right here. And then I can count up from there my rounds 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I know I've done all of the rounds. Now we're to the part in the pattern where we're going to start decreasing. Round 13 is our 4 single crochets and then a decrease round. And this will start to close off. We have this nice bowl shape for our project here. And now we're going to start tapering it upwards so it will look like a tomato. Remove your stitch marker. And in this first stitch, we're just going to go 4 across. Replace your stitch marker here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we have a decrease. Remember from my videos before that a decrease round is just crocheting 1 single crochet across 2 stitches. We're using an invisible decrease here. So in the front loop, remember this is the front loop if we just grab that first piece. And then if a pattern does say back loop, we would go over top of that to the back loop. So we're basically taking this braided piece here that we've been going under 2, and we're picking the loop closest to us, which is considered the front loop. We're going to do that same thing to the next stitch where we just grab the front loop. Now we pull the yarn up and perform our single crochet. So even though we've gone across 6 stitches, we should only have 5 single crochets. So 1 where our stitch marker is, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we repeat this around. So on our next stitch, now this is hard to see sometimes, but this is our decrease stitch. We don't want to go into this loop here because that's part of the decrease. Pull up on your decrease, and if that is lifting upward, which it is, that's a stitch we've already used. So move on to the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, and our decrease again. Front loop, pull your piece up. That's called yarn over and pulling up a loop, and then finish off your single crochet. In a pattern, you'll see words like yarn over and pull up a loop. Yarn over just means you're putting your yarn over your hook. Pulling up a loop means you're pulling it through your piece. That's our first single crochet. 2, 3, 4, and the decrease. Through the front, through the front. Hope I didn't get that whole stitch. Let me try it again. Through the front, through the front. Finish your single crochet. Now I'll show you the basic decrease on this next round where we're not doing an invisible, just to show you the difference. If you are struggling with that invisible decrease, there is a way around it. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so in this one we'll just do a basic decrease. So going under 2 like you would normally do, yeah, yarn over, pull it. We're going to do that same thing. We're not finishing the single crochet here because we need to do 1 crochet over 2 stitches. So we're going to stick this through the next 2 and pull that loop up. Now we'll pull through all 3 loops to decrease. So that decrease just looks a little bit more chunky than the decrease we made back here, which is more in the pattern. So this was our last decrease. We did 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we decreased again, and then this was not the invisible decrease. So you see how it will show up a little bit more in your pattern. But if that's the way you need to do it to get the job done, then do it that way, and then practice your invisible decreases in your free time, if you have free time. I don't think you would be crocheting right now if you didn't have free time. That was 4 single crochets, doing our invisible decrease again. And last time, 1, 2, 3, 4. And with the decrease, it helps me to hold the loop on the hook, just to keep my tension as I go underneath these 2 stitches. All right, I'm going to lock my stitch marker in place here just because I'm not that brave. And we are now going to put eyes into our project. So I just like to pull the loop a little loose because I'm going to take my crochet hook out. Don't panic. And our eyes are going to be placed between rounds 8 and 9, about 6 stitches apart. So if you count from the top, you can see your magic ring there. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 and 9 are right here. I'm going to keep my thumb there and kind of rotate them through. I usually don't like to put my eyes where my stitch marker is because that's where your project is jumping up a row or around, so it can look a little jaggedy. We're going to take our eye, and these are included in your crochet kit, and just stick it right through there. So it's between, just find a hole, stick it there. And now they need to be 6 stitches apart. It's up to you. You can give your project personality here if you want to put them farther apart or closer together. So close together is cute, right? That's close together. You might not have enough room for a mouth on this one, or maybe you can make a very big mouth, or you can put them very far apart. And these eyes are 6mm eyes. They make eyes in all different sizes, all different types, super cute. It's very nice, and sometimes the most satisfying part about crochet is your ability to give it a personality. Sometimes I don't know what personality it'll take on until it's done. But for this project, for this pattern, it says 6 stitches. I'm just going to follow it and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, I was almost right on there. So as you put your eyes through, on the inside, they stick out. And this is the back. This is the inside of our project. Now you have these little backings that'll go on. And I will sometimes put a dab of hot glue on here too, just to hold it in place. The safety eyes are not recommended for children 3 and younger because they do present a choking hazard if they do come out. So put this on so the dome side is down, and then with your fingers press it in, and you'll hear it click, and that's how you know it's on there. And we'll do the same for the other eye. So again, my thumb's on the eye on the outside, and then my pointer finger's here. There you go. That was a good sound. And now we have eyes. Yay. Okay, now that our eyes are in and our tomato is starting to take shape, we need to continue with our decreasing rounds. So go ahead and put your crochet hook back in the loop. And remember, we pulled this loop a little bit longer so that we could put our eyes in and remove the hook without losing where we were or having to redo these stitches if they did pull out of our project. So now we're on round 14, and this is going to be a 3 single chain decrease. Removing your stitch marker, we will crochet 3 across, 1, 2, 3, and we'll decrease across these 2 stitches here. One, 2, 3, and our invisible decrease up through, having three loops on the hook. We yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and that's putting our single crochet across 2 stitches. Remember, we're not going into this loop here. That's part of the decrease. We need to move over to the next braided piece where we can go under 2. 1, 2, 3, and the decrease. Again, we're repeating this around. And this is why it's called a pattern, because it's just so repetitive. We already did our 3 single chain increases, and now we have 3 single chain decreases here on the bottom side of it, so that we're forming our circular shape. Okay, decrease. Remember, I like to hold the loop that's on the hook for my decrease. It's just easier for me to control the hook through those front loops. And our decrease. 1, 2, 3, decrease. There we go. And if you do end up making a mistake, that's the importance of the stitch marker. You can take that round out. Maybe your numbers aren't working out, and you can go ahead and recount. And my stitch marker fell out because I didn't clip it in. Again, living wildly or recklessly. 2, 3, and a decrease. I think that's my last one. My stitch marker fell out, and so I know there should be 24 stitches in this round. So I'm going to count back here just to double check. I'll count back from where my hook is. So this is the decrease I just made right here, and I'm going to count back hopefully to 24. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. She got lucky. Okay. Now, round 15 is, and you could probably guess it, it's a 2 single chain decrease. So, single chain in the next 2, decrease across the next 2. Don't worry, I'll clip my stitch marker in this time since there was a consequence of last time and I had to go back and count all my stitches. It's good practice though to count your stitches. It lets you see them a little bit better, even if you don't want to. 1, 2, decrease. 1, 2, decrease. We're getting to the end. It's looking so cute. I'd be so excited to see your tomato when it's done. Decrease. Whoa. 1, 2, decrease. We're flying now. I hope you're flying. I hope that you can learn and improve your skills through this rotten tomato. You can always slow the video down, go back and watch what you've missed. Here's our last decrease. Decrease. Okay. So we're actually on the bottom of the tomato. Typically where you start with your magic ring is the top of your project. So if this were the head of a doll or a zebra or an elephant, this would be the top where my magic ring is, just because it's very clean with the lines. When we start decreasing, it gets a little bit bumpy. But here's an exciting part. We're going to pull our loop long again and remove the hook. Don't worry, my stitch marker is attached fully. And now we get to add polyfill. To get a good shape on your project, you do want to be pulling this apart, and it is tedious, but you don't just want to ball it up and throw it in there, because then your project looks lumpy. So we want this light and fluffy, and then we'll stick it into our project. Making sure your loop stays out. We don't want to tuck that one in because we need to use it. We have 2 more rounds. That's it for the tomato, and then we have to do the tomato top. But don't worry, the tomato top is fun too, and we get to sew it onto his head like a little hat. Now I'm just going to work around the edges here with the polyfill so that I get a nice even stuff. I don't want my tomato to be lumpy on one side. I'm just pushing it against the edge. And then also around your eyes, make sure you get in the middle of the eyes, above the eyes, and then a good amount below the eyes too. We don't want them to start sinking in after time. There we go. Well, that's probably enough for now. We can always add more before we close it. But look, isn't that so cute? Now we have 2 more rounds. We have a 1 single chain decrease for round 16. Remove your stitch marker. And now this is time you have to be careful not to pull the stuffing through. So I'll put a pointer finger down on the stuffing to keep that from pulling up through. What we don't want is to carelessly stick this hook through and then pull stuffing. That'll start showing through your project. Keep the stuffing inside. So I'll put my pointer finger there, and that way I can push the stuffing down. Now if you're worried about that or you're having trouble with it, just don't stuff your project until maybe after round 16 or even at the end at round 17. The hole at the top will be smaller to be able to stuff your project, but it will look cleaner in the end. So that was 1 single crochet. Now we decrease. This is going to take our count down to 12. 1 single crochet, and again I'm pushing the polyfill down with my pointer finger so that I do not get it through my stitches. Single crochet, decrease, single crochet, and a decrease here. Getting tighter. Single crochet. We're closing the hole with these decreases as we shape our project. Decrease. This is very standard amigurumi pattern. Here's our last single crochet, decrease, repeat, decrease. All right, last time around we'll just be decreasing in each stitch. Well, in each 2 stitches. So we'll have 6 total. So this time our first stitch is going to be a decrease. Push that polyfill down, and this one won't be so bad because you're working in the front loop, so you have less likelihood of grabbing that polyfill. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That's our first decrease for 1. Decrease again over the next 2. 2. I'm counting just in case my stitch marker falls out because I didn't clip it. 3. 4. 2 more. 5. Last one. You're almost there. 6. All right. Oops. I'm going to take that stitch marker out. And I'm going to do a slip stitch to what they call finish off. That means you kind of make a knot and then you are going to sew this whole clothes, or you're going to make a knot and you're going to cut the yarn. So I go under 2 and I'm going to pull this yarn over. I'm not single crocheting here, so I'm not going to pull this through. I'm just going to take that loop and I'm just going to pull it all the way through. And that's a slip stitch. We use slip stitches sometimes to move the yarn without having to cut it. We move it to make knots. We move it to create different shapes that are a little bit more narrow. So leave a good 6 inches on your yarn and then cut it. And we're going to pull this all the way through. There you go. So now we have an end. Time to use your tapestry needle. I like the ones that are bent at the end. This tip allows me to get into the project a little bit better, but we need to close this hole. Now, if you waited to this point to fill yours with stuffing, you can see how small that hole is, and sometimes you won't be able to stuff it with your finger. So I would add, maybe I want to add some more stuffing here. I realize, oh, it's so flat at the bottom, and it kind of is. I use the scissors and I'll just start pushing that into where I need it to be, pushing it through the hole that's left from our last round. We haven't closed the hole yet. I'm about to show you how. But until then, you can always add more stuffing. Just shove it in there with your scissors. Be careful. I mean, don't pierce all the way through to your hand. Nice and easy. But the scissors do help grab the polyfill a little bit better than trying to fit your little pinky finger in there. Okay. I'm a little bit happier with that stuffing. Remember, this is the bottom of our project. Our tomato goes this way. But we need to close this hole now so our stuffing doesn't fly out. Attach the tapestry needle, and we're just going to weave in and out. So underneath this bar here that we've created on our last round, we're kind of going behind every other stitch. So we'll go behind that one, in front of this one, behind this one, in front of this one, and behind this one. And that should be our last one. And pull tight. And do you see how that's closed that hole off now? It's gone. So from here, I just go under any loop, any piece of the yarn. Doesn't have to be great because I'm going to just form a knot. So pull that through and then put your tapestry needle through this loop you created and pull down. So I've knotted the end. Now I'm just going to stick the needle through the middle and just let it pop out any side. And this is considered weaving in your ends, or with amigurumi, hiding your end within the body. And cut as close to the body as you can. And if you need to, if there is a little bit sticking out, go back in with your needle or your hook and stick that back in there so it's hidden. All right, you have almost a tomato. We are ready for our tomato top, and you're going to take your green yarn. Yours might look a little bit different if you bought my Rotten Tomato Crochet Kit, just because this yarn was from an older kit that I sold when I first started selling them. But it doesn't matter, it's still the same size. So we will start with our magic ring, wrapping it around, going under, over, over, and pulling through to hold our magic ring in place. Now for the top, we're going to single crochet 12 times in this magic ring. 1, 2, take your fingers out, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Seems like a lot, but we are going to close the magic ring, pulling the strand that's closest to the end. Pull tight, pull your tail tight, and that'll close it off. Now, for this tomato top, we are not really crocheting round and round. This isn't going to be a circle shape, it's going to be a star shape. So instead of starting our next stitch with a single crochet, we are going to start it with a slip stitch. So we'll go through, yarn over, pull it through. Now in a single crochet, we would grab our yarn and pull it through 2, but this is a slip stitch, so the yarn that you pulled up the first time, just pull it right on through that loop, and that connects our circle. Now to make the points of the star, it's a chain 4 series. So to chain, you take your yarn over the hook and pull it through the loop. That's 1, yarn over the hook, pull it through the loop for 2, 3, and 4. This is our chain 4 piece. Now the pattern says that in the second chain from the hook, we're going to slip stitch. This is the first chain closest to the hook. This is the second one. And so we're going to stick our hook through there, slip stitch. In the next 2 chains, we single crochet. So just like we've been doing in our magic ring, and throughout the whole project really, just your single crochet. Now we have to attach this back to the magic ring. So we're going to slip stitch in our next available stitch. And there you go. There's our first point of our tomato top. So we'll slip stitch into the next stitch, just moving our yarn over so that we can work around this magic ring as well as work upward for our points. Chain 4, 2, 3, 4, slip stitch in that second chain from the hook. You definitely need your fingers to help you with this one. And then 2 single crochets, 1 in the stitch, 1 in our next stitch. And again, we need to connect this back with a slip stitch to the body of our magic ring. Just don't want to go through there. There we go. Now we have 2 stars. Slip stitch in the next stitch, sliding over 1 stitch each time. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, slip stitch, single crochet, single crochet, attach it back into the next available stitch. And maybe you don't want to make 6, maybe you want to spread them out and only have 3. Maybe you give up at this point and you only have these guys. That's okay, it's your tomato. Not all tomatoes have the perfect tops, and if yours doesn't, that's okay. But we're going to keep going. Slip stitch, chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, slip stitch, single crochet, single crochet, and attach it back. 2 more. Slip stitch into the next one. We're almost done. Chain 4, 2, 3, 4. Slip stitch, single, single, and reattach it. All right, last tomato piece here, last little star. And then we get to sew it onto our tomato head. Slip stitch, moving it into our last available tomato space for a little star. Chain 4, slip stitch, single, single, and our final slip stitch to attach this is in our last chain available, slip stitch. Now we're going to leave a pretty good sized tail here because we need to sew this onto our tomato. So after you cut, you're going to take your yarn, and I'm going to yarn over one more time and pull it through just to make a secure knot here. There we go. Pull through. So now this is ready to be sewn onto the top of our tomato head. Tomato top to our tomato. Get your tapestry needle and go ahead and put your green strand on there. And as we hold this to the top, remember the top is the part where you started with your magic ring and not where we did our decreases. Hold your piece on there. We'll go under red, through green, and then just down through green here. Try not to go through the same stitch so that your yarn doesn't just pull straight through. Up through red, down, back down through green, and we'll just continue this way all the way around. We're not sewing the spike or the star pieces, we're trying to sew more in the middle so that it does stay leafy, if that's a word. Just try to keep it centered on the head. I do have amigurumi sticks in my Etsy shop that you can hold your pieces together while you sew them, and it really helps keeping them aligned. But for the sake of the video, I just figured I would go for it. But go ahead and check those out. They're super cute, and things like that just make crocheting fun. Not that it's not already fun enough, but when you have cute things, cute stitch markers, it really does make it enjoyable. I'll go one more time. Get that tail out of there. Okay. I'm actually going to bring this back towards my tail so that I'll tie a knot here between the yarn I was just using and the tail end that started my magic ring. And then we'll just put them both in the tapestry needle and hide it inside the body. Pull it all the way through, and then remember to cut close to the tomato body without cutting the actual tomato, and then we'll stick that green right back in there. Okay, we're ready to add his face, give him a personality. Now our tomato is ready for a face. So go ahead and take your tapestry needle and the black thread that came in the crochet kit. If you didn't get the Rotten Tomato crochet kit, you can use any black yarn. I do like to use the thinner yarn because I think it makes a better face. But we'll start on any side and try to come through just right beside that eye. I'm going to pull until I have a small tail, and that'll help me finish this. So straight across now, just off the side of this eye, and I'm going to try to bring my needle out somewhere around halfway for this mouth. Okay, you can stop here if you want your tomato to have just a meh face. But as far as the pattern goes, I do have it making a frowny face. So we'll just take our needle underneath the meh part of the face and straight back in to that spot we came out that was about halfway. And I'm going to try to bring my needle out somewhere above the eye so that I can have an angry eyebrow. Aw, there you go, a frowny tomato. And it's up to you where you want to put your mouth. You can always keep this a little bit looser if you don't want it to be so pointed at the top. But now we're on the eyebrow. So we're going to come down through here, straight across towards that other eye. Trying to get them lined up can sometimes be difficult. All right, one angry eyebrow, and then straight across here to your second angry eyebrow. And I'm going to push my needle through to my starting point, trying to come out that exact same hole. All right, he's looking good, looking angry. So these two strands to finish off, I'm going to tie them together. And then, of course, I'll put them back on the tapestry needle and hide them within my project. Give it a cut. Hide that within. And your tomato is done. Look at your angry tomato. He's so cute. Don't forget to share your tomatoes with me on Instagram, tagging me at My Way Crochet.